Hey everybody, we're here to celebrate the 1-year birthday of the Infinity Bundle. I'm here with Chris Badgett and Thomas Levy from LifterLMS.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hi
Happy
guys.
birthday.
Yeah. I thought we could do a little video where we would talk to everybody and tell them a little bit about where we got the idea for the Infinity Bundle and where it's going, and just give our friends and our customers a little bit of history and context around it, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
All right. Is that okay with you, Thomas?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about like how we came up with the idea for the Infinity Bundle, when we started talking about it, and how it came to be.
I think a lot of it just goes back to the original vision and mission of LifterLMS. And part of that involves attacking a problem, which we call the dirty little secret of membership sites, which is a lot of course platforms or membership tools are designed for to help the course creator or the website owner to build up this amazing high converting paywall. And then on the other side of this paywall is all this premium content. There's nothing wrong with making money with a course or a membership. But at the end of the day, we wanted to build a tool that did all that stuff. I mean, it's great to have a high converting, easy checkout and all that, and we did build that. But we also care deeply about things like engagement, student success. And so when we look at features and we were thinking about where do we go from the Universe Bundle, like what's that next level of engagement? What's that? We've got people over the paywall. We've got, people syncing data with marketing tools. What's that next level of, how do we help our customer find success? And one of the big things is it's not just about courses. It's also, what else do students need to be successful? They need coaching and they need community. I always like personally to go into my offline history, because I'm old enough to remember a world before the internet. And when I think back to like
You're a lot older than me, so
when I think back to like a non-internet based learning experience or like low tech, certain elements were there besides just this great content. There was a community of people there learning together, and not all those people were created the same. So the coaching or the mentoring or, quality, like personalized teaching was a part of that, which is where ideas for things like private areas, social learning, quizzes and assignments that require manual grading and where feedback can happen. That's just the next evolution of helping our customer.
And so Thomas, what about from a development perspective? Do you have anything to add, or a technical perspective?
I think that one thing technically, LifterLMS is not, there's a lot of freemium plugins in the WordPress space where you can get the free version off WordPress.org, off the plugin repository. And then, when you upgrade to the premium versions, there's a completely separate plugin. And LifterLMS doesn't actually have that model where LifterLMS is LifterLMS. So I think technically one of the cool things that, I don't know, we're always thinking about when we create new features, new product, new software, is how can we also add value to the free users? Because we have a lot of free users that really like the free LifterLMS core is really powerful. So in addition to like kind of the release of the Infinity Bundle, and most specifically, I guess like the quizzes add-on, the advanced quizzes, there was a completely reconstructed quiz architecture that came along with that. And the benefits of that were a lot, like, I don't know, was there a half dozen quiz question types that we added in the advanced quizzes, but we also added a number of new question types to the free core and a completely new interface and a whole bunch of new features and a new quiz building experience, as well as a quiz taking experience that came along with that. So technically there's a lot of other things that I think went on in the construction of the Infinity Bundle. There's lots of lines of code and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's really too tremendously interesting to anybody, but
sure it is to some people.
Yeah. You want me to go line by line through the but I mean, that was just one of the things we were thinking about is how can we overcome the challenge of, we don't want to only build new paid features. We also want to build new free features. So a lot of the stuff that we did that became part of the Infinity Bundle, there's benefits to everybody, regardless of whether or not you use the Infinity Bundle or not. So, of course, the biggest secret sauce is found in that bundle. But
so, I counted last night, Thomas, and you've done, I think it is off the top of my head, 59 updates to the Infinity Bundle products over the past 12 months.
Wonder how many lines of code are in there.
Yeah. So how many lines of code is that?
I don't know. We found a script. I found a script a while ago to figure out how many lines of code are in a GitHub repository. I haven't run that recently, but we're trying to figure. Chris wanted to know how many lines of code were in the LifterLMS core. It'd be interesting to dredge that up and see how many lines of code are in kind of all the combined add-ons and things. But there's a lot. Yeah. And
having created the products, do you have a favorite one?
Ooh, that's interesting. From my perspective, my favorite products are the ones that create the least amount of support.
Stripe, LifterLMS Stripe.
So yeah, I would probably go Stripe. Stripe is so the more complex the feature set, the more questions there are. But that's kind of, I think, one of the exciting, fun, I don't know, whatever portions of being a web developer or a product developer, I guess, is that if that's my metric, that metric is actually a metric which shows the ease of use. So support doesn't necessarily come because something is broken, although sometimes it does. It's more often it's because something is confusing. So it all works totally fine, but it's just confusing how to figure out how to use it. So, as time has gone on, we improve products and we make things simpler based on support requests. We see the same kinds of questions that are confusing our users, and we're like, oh, well, that's because the user experience of setting this up is confusing. So, although, to be honest, I think in the Infinity Bundle, social learning is, I hear very few questions about it. So to me, it's like a huge success, but I kind of forget about it sometimes because it works. Yeah. I guess it's pretty easy to set up, and I don't get a lot of questions about how to set it up, and I think it's extremely powerful. And I think that maybe for me, of everything in that Infinity Bundle, social learning is like the dark horse. And I know Chris has done a lot of marketing around it, but I think it's so incredibly powerful that as we transition from the traditional membership site, which doesn't have the community engagement that Chris is talking about, I think people like course creators just maybe don't really know the power of social learning and a community learning and learning as a group. So I think that's going to become as we, continue to improve it, release new features, which we have a couple small things coming in the next couple of weeks for social learning. It's just I don't know, the power of that add-on and that feature set will become more and more apparent over time.
So from each of your perspective roles within the company, what's one big lesson that you've learned this year since the Infinity Bundle has been born, since we've rolled it out?
That's a good question. I would say, in the WordPress ecosystem, one of the things you're really paying for, since the code is open source and GPL and all this, is updates and support. And how many updates did you say, Ali?
59. 59. And that's to the our sort of paid add-ons. That doesn't include anything that Thomas did to the LifterLMS core plugin. I haven't counted that yet.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I hear a lot from people is one of the reasons they choose Lifter, or they went with the Infinity Bundle, or attached their business to this rocket ship, is because they see how we operate as a community and how we approach continuous innovation, improvement, and most important, listening. And I would say, to your question, what's the one thing that I've learned? It's not necessarily that it's something that I would like to do differently. It's just something I want to keep getting better and better at, which is listening to that customer or prospective customer for what they're trying to do, what problems are they trying to solve, where's the friction. And because we do listen so much, we get a huge volume of inbound data from all that listening that we are getting better at processing that and figuring out what to do and how to prioritize and everything like that. So that's the big lesson, I think, is related to the Infinity Bundle. As we release these new things, and as we're kind of pushing in on concepts like social learning, we get a lot of feedback coming in, and then processing that in a way that we can, remove friction for our customer and our customer's customer. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
I think something for me, I don't know if I've necessarily learned it, but we're starting to see the power of my lesson in the last 6 or 8 months is kind of the power of other developers. We started LifterLMS on top of WordPress because that's what we knew. Like, we're a WordPress development agency, so why not build our LMS plugin on top of WordPress? But as time has gone on, we're starting to, or I think maybe doing a better job of making LifterLMS and all of our LifterLMS add-ons extendable in the same way the WordPress core is extendable. And this leaves room for other developers, be it theme developers or add-on and plugin developers, to integrate with LifterLMS or extend LifterLMS for their own needs and requirements and designs and whatever. And we're just starting to see that kind of compile now. For me, it satisfies a real problem in that we are a small team and we can only build so many features. So by engaging the larger developer community, we can multiply the number of features we can build by allowing other third parties to do it. And then for our end users and our course creators, those course creators for their users, it also unlocks the power of, I guess, the same thing really. But there's just so many more problems that can be solved, especially in small, weird niche use cases that, don't serve the general population, like things that not everybody needs, but is tremendously valuable to a small number of users.
Right.
So we're starting to see that with new themes. A lot of new themes in the last 6-8 months are starting to add native LifterLMS support. We're seeing more plugins. We're seeing like utility plugins that have a half dozen or more small features that could very easily be part of the LifterLMS core, but not everybody wants or needs. So they're in these like little utility plugins. Well, actually, I say little. I don't mean that in a diminutive way. They're just smaller than the LifterLMS core, so they're little. But they're still valuable and important. So
yeah,
that's something that in the future we're going to continue putting effort into, is like developing, growing, expanding that community, re-engaging that community. And I think it's really cool. We're starting to really see that like this last year. There's a couple small ones, year 1, year 2. This past year, it's compounding. It's really cool to see.
And so what are you guys most excited about for the future of the Infinity Bundle, and what do you see in the future of the Infinity Bundle? Are there going to be more products?
I'm really excited.
Just want to add more products.
I'm really excited on doubling down on what we have. Like, I also agree with Thomas. My favorite, Infinity Bundle add-on is social learning. And I see, a lot of people kind of sitting, they'll have a course and then they'll have a private Facebook group or something like that, which is cool. But there's also some downsides to using Facebook. But when you can actually have a nice experience, a social experience on your website, especially if your subject matter is, sensitive or personal, people will open up more, if you're kind of in that container of the website.
Yeah.
So I'm most excited about improving what we already have, because the concept of something like community and coaching and these things and feedback loops and these things that we value to not just get people over a paywall and into some premium content, but to really help them get results. There's so much to do with what we already have. And like Thomas is mentioning, because of his great work in making Lifter extendable, I'm also just focusing on the community around this project of itself, other developers, other, thought leaders, and making effective courses, our power users, our mastermind group that is part of the LifterLMS Infinity Bundle.
Oh yeah, can you talk a little bit about that and how that came to be?
So when we first released the Infinity Bundle, we went ahead and immediately, when we announced the idea, we dropped a product into it that didn't require a single line of code, which was a weekly live support call, and basically ask me anything Chris and special guests call.
Yeah.
And what happened is, over time, as more and more people started getting the Infinity Bundle and this product, more and more people were showing up. There was a lot of wisdom in the crowd that it wasn't just me, Chris, the guru. This was a real community that was helping each other. There are people in there who have become, close friends, who have even started businesses together, and they didn't know each other.
Just from that group?
Just from this group.
Wow.
And so I like to tell people, which sounds really funny, is that we accidentally at Lifter started a mastermind. This was like accidental. But once
I remember when we talked about it. Like, I remember as a team when we talked about it.
Yeah.
We're going to change the name to the Office Hours Mastermind.
Yeah. Because that's what it was. And so that's.
But so like the initial idea for the Office Hours, I remember when we talked about it was, I remember I phrased it like, it's kind of like when you're in college and you can stop by your professor's office and he's going to be there between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Mondays, so you can ask him questions. And then you took it and it just evolved into something even bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool of what it's become and how it's continued to grow. And I've even seen some of our customers, Infinity Bundle customers, taking that idea and then implementing it in their like course and membership sites. And they even call it I've seen some of them even call it, I see on their website, it says Office Hours Mastermind. And I take that as a great compliment.
New category.
Once we created here, it's like working and people are using that idea too.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting too, because we very much, we're talking about community a lot here, but we very much, LifterLMS is for anybody who's been with us, and there's a small group of people who have been using LifterLMS since 2014, when we released like the beta version to, what was it, like 50 VIPs or something?
42.
Or early adopters. 22?
42.
Oh, 42. Okay. Almost 50. I like to round up. But LifterLMS is very different than it was then. And it's not, so, it's partially different due to ideas that we have had internally, but it's really very different because of feedback we've had from users. And I think we really value and embrace that. And I think the Office Hours transition from just a support call to a mastermind is just, we're doing that not only with software, but also with the community too. It's like, this is what is desired and what is needed and what is occurring. So let's like pivot that way. And I think it's pretty evident that we're not afraid to make changes as a result of demand for those changes. So looking towards the future, I think we will continue to do that. And one of the biggest things I see in the future of LifterLMS has, will impact the Infinity Bundle in some way, of course, but it's just a re-envisioning of how courses are created. Just based on the questions that we're seeing in support in Facebook, in Office Hours, is people are thinking about building courses in different ways than LifterLMS allows you to build courses. And I can't really say too much because Chris and I and Sarab too, who's a member of our development team, and we've all talked about this exhaustively, but we're still unable to kind of really put together a roadmap of exactly what this looks like. But it's something that we're figuring out and we're trying to figure out, and we'll continue figuring out, and will eventually become a feature of some kind, and probably just in the LifterLMS core with enhancements to that in the Infinity Bundle. But that kind of stuff is what really excites me. Is just listening to visionaries in course creation and then building software to suffice their needs or their desires. So that's kind of what I'm stoked about right now.
That's cool. Well, before we say goodbye, I want to wish Chris a happy 40th birthday. Because he's turning 40 right around the same time the Infinity Bundle is turning 1.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Do you have any big birthday plans? 40th birthday bucket list item you're going to cross off?
Many of you may not know that I am actually a twin. So I'm actually going to spend my 40th birthday with my twin brother. So that's really my big, we don't always get together on our birthday. We live in different parts of the country. So that's the big exciting thing for me for turning 40.
I think we should do a video with your twin sometime. I think people would get a kick out of that.
They probably would.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, guys. Happy birthday to the Infinity Bundle.
Thank you, Allie.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See ya.